All right. Welcome, everybody, to the second day of spring. A very, very welcome season after this winter in the Northeast. So, today we have Dr. Andy Rosenfarb, who's going to educate us a lot about things we don't usually hear about from glaucoma doctors. And I'm very glad to welcome him. I'm going to read you a little bit of his bio so that you have more of an understanding of his background. And Dr. Rosenfarb is a world-renowned expert in the field of Chinese medical ophthalmology. I better put my glasses on. Better. He is a leader in the field in integrated treatment methods that combine traditional Chinese medicine, naturopathic medicine, and new cutting-edge therapies to help people suffering from debilitating eye diseases to maintain and improve their vision. He earned his master's in traditional Chinese medicine from Pacific College of Oriental Medicine and his Doctor of Naturopathy from Canyon College. He continued his postgraduate education at Zhejiang. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Where am I? College of Chinese Medicine in Hangzhou, China. Dr. Rosenfarb is board certified in acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine and is a founding member of the National Guild for Acupuncture. He is the author of 6 books on Chinese medical ophthalmology and integrative eye health. And there's a lot more to his bio, but I don't want to spend the whole time reading it. So, welcome, Andy, and I'm going to turn the meeting over to you, and I'll mute myself for now.
Okay. Well, great. Thank you so much, Ann. I really appreciate this is the first time I think I'm doing a virtual presentation. It's got to be probably somewhere between 10 and 20 years that I've been presenting to the Glaucoma Support Group. I've enjoyed it every time. It's great that we can move this to a Zoom virtual remote session so that we can have not only people join us from all over the place, but also that those can't make it, you guys can watch this on demand at your free will. So again, as indicated, my name is Dr. Andy Rosenfarb. I have been practicing holistic ophthalmology for the last 30 years. I have a practice in Westfield, New Jersey, and I focus a lot on glaucoma patients. And once I get into my presentation, I'll tell you a little bit about one patient in particular that actually launched me into this field. So it was a pretty, really awesome story and always very heartfelt story for me. So today, what I want to do is I have put together a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to queue up in a minute. And after we do that, you guys are going to have some questions. I'm going to stay as long as you need to answer them. And the idea here that I want you guys to just kind of get going into this is not about like camps. It's not like Eastern medicine, holistic medicine versus uh, conventional ophthalmology. The idea here is integration, where conventional medicine is awesome, specifically when it comes to glaucoma in terms of managing eye pressure through surgeries, through medications. Without question, there's a lot of value in that in terms of helping people manage and save their vision, particularly the health of the optic nerve when it comes to glaucoma. The conversation that we're going to have today is the areas of eye health, again, specifically optic nerve health, that conventional medicine doesn't really have a grasp on and they're not really addressing. And we're going to look at that is to the environment, the health of the cells and the tissue and the stress factors beyond eye pressure that can really put significant stress on the optic nerve and really accelerate progressive vision loss. And if we can understand these stress factors and do different therapies or diet or lifestyle changes to help reduce these stresses, then without question, they're going to, at minimum, help dramatically slow down the progression of these cases. So I want to take you guys through a little bit of a journey to understand, again, from my perspective, some of these comorbidities or coexisting stress factors that could really accelerate progressive vision loss, and they're really important to manage. So let's get into that. I'm going to queue up my PowerPoint, and you guys can see me and hear me and everything. We're good? Okay, great. All right, so let me share my screen here. And fantastic. So we're going to start here, and let me go to slideshow start. Okay. Okay, so you guys can all see, we're good? Give me a thumbs up for where you guys could see the screen and everything. Fantastic. Okay, so again, the idea behind this presentation I want to give you guys is really to understand glaucoma beyond eye pressure and how the eye's internal environment affects vision. And again, I'm Dr. Andy Rosenfarb, doctor of traditional Chinese medicine, naturopathic physician, and licensed acupuncturist. So let's move. We already got a good introduction from Anne, so that spares me that that time. So let's move forward. So we talk about the biological terrain. This again is the environment that these ping pong size organs called or our eyes exist in. Okay, so the brain is part of this system, right? When we talk about the visual system, we talk about the eyes, we talk about the optic nerve, we talk about the brain is the entire visual system. So we're looking at the biological terrain, the soil, right, the tissue, and how its health is, and how that affects our vision. So the bioterrain or the biological terrain is the internal conditions that our eye tissues are living in every day, which includes things like circulation, nutrition, oxygenation to the cells, inflammation load, oxidative stress and free radicals, mitochondrial energy production. We're going to talk a lot about this. This is the cellular energy production that's critical for functionality, preservation, and repair and regeneration. Also, nervous system signaling. All right, the optic nerve is what we're mostly focused on here with glaucoma, and it is part of the central nervous system. Right, the eyes, the optic nerve, the brain, the spinal cord. Also, nutrient availability. Are you able to break down and use it? A lot of you guys are taking nutritional supplements. Are these supplements available to you? Can your body break them down and utilize them? Are they good quality supplements? And can they actually make it to the optic nerve and to the eye so that they can protect and nurture and nourish the structures there? And also, it's important to understand the toxic metabolic stress factors. So we have toxicity. We can have things like heavy metals. We can have microbes, chronic bacterial and viral or yeast or fungal infections in the body. So we have these internal stress factors that are metabolic, that are external stress, radiation, hormonal imbalances. These are all factors that can dramatically impact the local biological terrain of our eyes. It makes sense, right? Okay, so this isn't really alternative, and I like to discuss that and make that point that it's looking at the conditions your eye cells depend on every day, right? So it's the environment, just like your work environment, your home environment, the external environment in which we live in. Environment matters. It's very, very important. So vision loss is influenced by the environment that eye lives in, so that the environment is something we can influence, right? And that's the point that I want you guys to understand here. We can influence environment internally, right? Through diet, nutrition, sleep, our macros, healthy eating, exercises, things like that. And externally, we can reduce the amount of toxicity that comes into our system. So we want to pay attention to both our external environment, the world around us, and our internal environment. And those are absolutely things we can influence through lifestyle, habit, diet, supplements, holistic treatment modalities that we're going to talk about in a little while. So this perspective isn't why it's not mainstream. So people are like, okay, well, there's conventional glaucoma specialization and ophthalmology, retinal specialization, but why isn't this stuff mainstream? And one of the reasons is because the type of care that we focus on, which is primarily with glaucoma, talking about the optic nerve, it's not always measurable. So conventional medicine is often very focused on metrics, objective analysis. Subjective is important as well, but it's a broader environment, right? We're talking again about the environment of the eye, and it's harder to really measure and show qualitative changes. Although we can use things like ocular Doppler that shows more blood flow is increased to the eye and the optic nerve. We can do tear film. We can check things like that. Of course, we could look at eye pressure. We could look at functionality and structure, right? We can look at optic nerve through things like OCT, or the head of the optic nerve through fundus exam. We can do different testing. We can look at visual acuity to see what reading is like. We could look perimetry, visual fields to see if there's any loss in perimetry. We could look at color vision. We could look at contrast, right? So we can measure all of these, but there are aspects to our vision that are more qualitative and generally that aren't as easy to track, but are nonetheless important. So the approach is really about supporting the optic nerve health, right? Conventional medicine and ophthalmology and glaucoma specialists are very, very good at managing eye pressure. But eye pressure, and we're going to get more into this, is not the only factor that drives progressive degeneration of the optic nerve. And that's what we, again, want to talk about today. What are these other factors beyond eye pressure that can really impact, in a positive or negative way, the health, function, integrity of the optic nerve? So one thing I want to talk about here is that people, go for eye checkups, and sometimes people are even using alternative therapies and stuff like that. Our patients, for example, will come for acupuncture or various types of treatment that will really help. But I talk to my patients often. I say, look, it's what you do at home that's very, very important on your daily basis with your habits, because we're, again, looking at the internal and external degenerative stress factors that we talked a little bit about earlier: ongoing metabolic and hormonal stress, vascular dysregulation. What does that mean? That's the blood vessels, right? Are the blood vessels clogged? Are they're swollen and inflamed? We're having problems getting the vital nutrients and oxygen and food to the eye. Do you have nervous system regulation, right? A lot of cases of glaucoma are a dysregulation of the autonomic nervous system, just like hypertension is, right? High blood pressure, high eye pressure. A lot of this is controlled by the central nervous system. So there's central nervous system dysregulations in some cases that need to be addressed. And of course, due to the disease process itself of glaucoma, plus various surgical procedures, plus years and years of doing eye drops, which can, create a little accelerated wear and tear on the eyes. This is going to create cumulative tissue damage. So most people, vision loss develops gradually. All right. Let me back up for a minute. And this is not something that just usually happens overnight, although it can seem to, right? You go to your eye doctor and, maybe you've noticed some vision loss or you haven't, and they tell you you're glaucoma or glaucoma suspect, or you have vision loss, and maybe you aren't even aware of it. So at that instant, in that time that you're made aware of this situation, that seems acute, right? You're aware of it. But the reality is the environment has been such that this has been accumulating, these stress factors that we're going to talk about now. So things like inflammation, right, which creates chronic irritation of the optic nerve and the ocular system. Oxidative stress, free radicals, right? We use antioxidants to manage that. That is accelerated aging of the eye, wear and tear, right? It's oxidized. So it's like rusting of the optic nerve. It wear and tear and breaks it down. It ages the optic nerve in the eyes faster than it should be, right? So we have our chronological age, but biologically, when we have glaucoma, the optic nerves in the sometimes the retina can be older, like say we're 67 years old, but our optic nerve could be like a decade or two older just because of the wear and tear. Then we have circulatory issues where we can have things that result in suffocation and starvation of the optic nerve in the eye system. Then we could have things like mitochondrial dysfunction, which is low energy output that reduces the cellular energy, and you have a fatigue environment. So all these diseases, glaucoma, optic nerve atrophy, they all reflect a stressed out bioterrain. Again, where there's could be inflammation, there could be free radical damage, there could be circulatory issues, there could be mitochondrial dysfunction, there could be a whole different host of different stress factors that we need to address in addition to the eye pressure. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, so let's start off with the most basic conversation in factors that can really contribute to accelerated optic nerve breakdown and vision loss. And that's circulation, right? Everything we talk about when I work with my patients for any eye condition, whether it's optic nerve or retinal or whatever, the foundation of everything we do is to improve and maintain proper blood flow to the eye, the retina, the brain, and the optic nerve, the entire visual system. Because all the cells and tissues of the visual system, the brain, the optic nerve, and the eye, are like miniature versions of us. They need to breathe, respirate. They need to consume vital nutrients and convert them into energy, cellular metabolism. So if there is impaired blood flow to the optic nerve, you're not getting enough oxygen, you're not getting enough nutrients. We're going to have improper removal of carbon dioxide, metabolic waste, and acids in the body. It's going to create a stressed out environment where these cells can't respirate, right? They can't breathe. So we can't go too long without breathing. Neither can the cells, right? We can't go too long without food either. And once we have too much carbon dioxide, that creates toxicity. So the idea here is flow, circulation. We want to make sure that the blood vessels that feed the optic nerve are clear, right? There's no plaque, there's no cholesterol, there's no blood clots obstructing them, no clogged pipes, right? Think of your house and your plumbing system. The pipes and tubes in your house can either get clogged or they can break, right? Sometimes you can have a hemorrhagic blood vessel break or something like that, and that can reduce blood flow. You can have swelling when we have inflammation that causes the lumens, the inside of the blood vessels rather, to constrict, reducing blood flow. We can have chronic stress on the body, which causes vasoconstriction, reducing blood flow. We can have impaired blood flow to the head. And this is really common. We see this a lot, actually. So as people start to age, a lot of times there's cardiovascular risks, and cardiologists will put patients on antihypertensives, right, to reduce blood pressure. So when we reduce blood pressure, one of the effects of that is the pulse pressure, or the strength at which the heart is constricting reduces. So that's called the pulse pressure. And gravity, right, the head is above the heart. I think we can all agree on that. We don't have enough contraction to get enough blood up through the carotid arteries up to the brain, the eyes, and the optic nerve. So that compression could reduce and impair blood flow to the eyes and brain. So again, that's not a pitch to tell you guys to stop taking your antihypertensive medication, but it is something that you want to be aware of. If you've been taking antihypertensives and you have low blood pressure, you have cold hands and feet, that could indicate that there could be some circulation issues to the head and to your hands and feet. That's peripheral blood flow. So blood flow, really, really important. Foundation in everything we do. All of the treatments, everything we recommend really focuses on improving and maintaining blood flow to the optic nerve, which is critical. And again, you're taking your eye drops, you're doing any surgeries to lower eye pressure. None of that addresses blood flow to the optic nerve. Of course, that's going to help preserve the optic nerve health and function. The next stress factor is inflammation, right? And the thing with inflammation is this: there's one main symptom you will experience if you are dealing with a lot of inflammation. That symptom is light sensitivity. right? If you have light sensitivity, I'm not talking about glare from things like cataracts. It's just like called photophobia. Like you can't handle a lot of light. That lets you know that there are inflammatory processes that are going on in your system that are extreme. Right? They could be just from your internally from the condition. They could be sometimes people get irritated from the eye drops. But if you have light sensitivity, there's absolutely some inflammation going on. Now, that said, you can have lower grade inflammation going on and not have light sensitivity. So just because you don't have light sensitivity doesn't mean there's no inflammation going on. And if you do have light sensitivity, you can pretty much guarantee there's some level of inflammation going on. Now, that said, there are supplements and tools we can use and strategies to reduce inflammation that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But the important thing right now is to understand that inflammation can come from different sources. Right. So there are anti-inflammatories, there are steroids, there are NSAIDs, something like that in conventional medicine, which helps reduce inflammation. Now, from our perspective, different forms or sources of inflammation require different treatment strategies. For example, you can have inflammation from infections, chronic infections, Lyme disease, COVID, Epstein-Barr, things like that, that create these long-term chronic inflammatory conditions. It's different than dealing with things like autoimmune inflammatory processes versus environmental toxins that get into our body and create inflammation. Cardiovascular inflammation can be really pro-inflammatory. We know that because when that happens in a very advanced aggressive state, things like heart attacks, strokes, come about as a result of that. Certainly mental emotional stress, whether it's acute or chronic, can absolutely create more adrenaline, inflammatory cytokines. When we're stressed, we get more inflamed. We know that. There's physiological actions that happen as a result of how our body reacts and responds to stress. And some people are more reactive than others, and some people inflame a lot more than stress. So, you get headaches, just muscle aches sometimes. So these are things that we just want to be aware of. Also, the crappy diet, not eating enough healthy food, having too much junk foods, too much processed food, too much sugar, too much refined white sugars and salt, and foods that just aren't nutritious. They're not whole foods, not enough vegetables, not enough lean protein, not enough, again, just whole foods for our bodies. So, fast food, fast life. So we say, once in a while we're going to go out to eat, or we have events where we're going to eat, drink, and be merry and, have some junk food. But most of the time, we really want to keep an eye on, no pun intended, on our diet and really focus on whole food nutrition and just make more. And I get it, it takes more work. Even sometimes you go to Whole Foods, a lot more expensive. So healthy food does cost a little bit more. But, there are foods that are super healthy that aren't necessarily super expensive, like, greens like spirulina, chlorella, blue-green algae, sprouts, any whole grains or organic lean meats or anything like that. Certainly, plant fats, whole fats are really, really useful for the body. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later as well. And then things like metabolic and hormonal imbalances, right? That can be pro-inflammatory for a lot of people. And finally, certain medications, side effects of medications can be pretty inflammatory, including for some people, glaucoma eye drops. I'd say a lot of my patients kind of struggle with the irritation that they experience, and those using drops for some can just create a lot more irritation. So again, there's ways to manage that we help people look into dealing with that. So again, not of all of these forms of inflammation apply to everybody, but it's definitely something that we consider. And not everybody is going to have this, but a lot of people will. And if it's something that's related to your case, we absolutely want to understand it so that we could manage it, right? We're all talking about management strategies. Okay, the next stress factor is mitochondrial dysfunction. Now, this is something new for a lot of people. It's not talked about in conventional medicine at all, and it's certainly not heavily talked about even in functional medicine, naturopathic medicine. But in Chinese medicine, this is a conversation that's been had for about 2,000 to 3,000 years. And the idea is this concept called qi, or energy or life force energy. Now, 3,000 years ago, Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine and Buddhism and a lot of traditional world medicines were aware of this vital life force called energy. And Ayurvedic medicine, they call that prana. So the idea here is our body, living organisms produce energy, right? Vital energy. That one of those forms of energy we call in Chinese medicine is qi, or in Japan or Korea, they call it ki. And this is ATP energy, the cellular energy output by our mitochondria. Okay. So once the cellular energy is produced, it can organize. And one of the ways those are organized is, again, you can talk about the chakra system, you can talk about the Chinese meridian system. There's a lot of pathways throughout the body. Of course, the neurovascular system, the circulatory system, more conventionally, but the idea here is that with disease process and with age, the mitochondria will lose over time their ability to produce energy. And it's not just about energy for functionality. Energy is required for repair and regeneration. So as the nerve cells, in this case, the optic nerves, start to break down, what happens is we need enough energy and raw material to repair and regenerate those nerve cells. Now, if the energy capacity is not sufficient to repair and rebuild, even if we do have the raw materials, the fats, the amino acids, the peptides, all these to rebuild the structure of the optic nerve, if the energy is not availability to do that work, then it's not going to happen. Therefore, focusing on mitochondrial health is going to be the next big conversation that starts coming in to both conventional medicine as well as holistic medicine. And the problem here, guys, is that there's no drug that can really affect the mitochondria. It's more about lifestyle, it's toxicity, it's viral loads, it's environmental, internal, external, everything we're talking about. Now, if you guys want to learn more about this, is a really good book by an author named Casey Means. It's called Good Energy. I don't want to get too into it right now, but long and short, it's a really good book that helps you understand in your environment, your house, your work, food, personal hygiene products, cleaning products, what chemicals in the things that we use all day can be stressful to our nervous system, to our cellular, to our mitochondria. So for those of you guys who have the time or inclination, I really recommend picking up that book, audiobook, or those guys who like to read, you can check that out, kind of zoom in. But they do have an audiobook. It's a very educational book. Again, just in terms of understanding what things in our environment that we put in our body, on our body, around our body that can cause the mitochondria, cellular production, and neurostrain to the nervous system. So again, the overall idea here is when the energy production drops, cells cannot repair and regenerate, and that is going to dramatically contribute to accelerated progressive vision loss. So finally, you guys are probably, everybody knows about free radicals and antioxidants to protect vision. Most eye doctors, for whatever condition, are recommending some level of antioxidants. And the idea here is we have something called free radicals, which are also called reactive oxygen species. Those terms are used interchangeably. So if you see ROS, reactive oxygen species, or free radicals, same. The effect of too many free radicals, reactive oxygen species, are an overwhelm of the cells, the tissues, the organs that cause, again, accelerated breakdown, right? They age faster. So free radicals are fine, right? We have them in our body. They're very useful for help breaking down garbage. They kill cancer cells after we're sick. They're very useful. What happens is when they become hyperabundant, there's too many, and they'll overwhelm the cells in the tissue, and again, accelerate the tissue breakdown or the degeneration, and overall the aging process. So look, we all are born, we live, we go through this like physiological life process where it kind of go, and then our health starts to dip a little bit after, a certain period of time. But we want to slow that process down. And free radicals are what speed up aging. So we use useful free radicals. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes, which specific antioxidants are going to be useful. But again, the idea here is to slow the aging process down of the cells, tissues, and organs, where this cumulative damage can really impact the optic nerve in the eye system. So the body really can manage this. We just want to help reduce the amount of free radicals that are produced and manage any hyperactivity of free radicals. And again, things that cause free radical activity are anything that's stressful to our body biochemically, radiation-wise, things like UV radiation, blue light from screens, which is why I want to use blue light protection when we get sick. All the stuff we talk to, things are pro-inflammatory, anything that we put in our body that are stimulants or toxic, poor food choices, too much sedentary lifestyle. So all these factors can lead to more free radicals. So we really want to manage even medications, recreational or pharmaceuticals, alcohol, sugar. These are very, very high in free radicals. So the more free radicals have, the more the antioxidants we need to take. And again, we'll talk more about this, but most of the best antioxidants are found in fruits and vegetables. So it's really important that we're eating a proper amount of really high quality fruits and vegetables. Okay, so that is some of the stress factors. Now, how do we deal with them? Right now that you guys have a basic understanding of what these stress factors are, at least some of the major stress factors that can impact vision, how do we handle this? So again, the approach that we take towards maintaining a healthy ocular bioterrain is to support blood flow, manage inflammation, and manage oxidative stress, try to improve mitochondrial function and or reduce the toxic burden and overload that is stressing out and weighing down the cellular mitochondria's ability to produce energy, right? This chi energy, this ATP, adenosine triphosphate, this metabolic energy. Okay, we're also talking about strategies to regulate the central nervous system. Again, this whole visual system, the information when it goes from the retina to the optic nerve to the brain to the visual cortex. We have to optimize this whole visual activity. And then, of course, we're talking about long-term habits that help stabilize not only your visual system, but your whole body overall. And again, by changing or improving the environment that the eyes live in, it becomes a lot easier for the cells to repair and regenerate. And this is, the middle conversation that when you guys go for your, 6-month or annual checkups that you're not having. And this is why it's important to really have this understanding of, in addition to using your eye drops, doing any surgical procedures to manage your eye pressure, there are other things you can absolutely do to help maintain and even sometimes recover some lost vision if this is kind of new to you. So again, looking to improve blood support, really want to help with optic nerve and retinal function because those, again, we're looking at the whole system, right? Obviously, the conversation with glaucoma is often about the optic nerve, but we cannot neglect retinal health and brain health and overall health, and not just the nerve, the vascular system, the detox pathways, all of it. So I want to reduce the stress on the optic nerve. We just talked about some of the main stress factors and support cellular energy production. Therefore, recovery and preservation will happen when the internal environment of the eyes starts being more supported and is healthy overall. And again, now it's amazing. I'll just pause for a minute here. So many people are just like, yeah, well, obviously makes common sense, but how do we do that? So I want to continue having that conversation of what we can do to help support a healthy eye environment. So what we do in clinic with some patients who come forever that work with us for glaucoma or other eye conditions, there are a lot of strategies and clinical tools that we can use to help people really improve the overall environment of their visual system and their optic nerve. We use things like ophthalmic acupuncture, alternating current stimulation. I'm going to talk a little about later. This is a really amazing, relatively newer treatment strategy that comes out of Europe, specifically specifically Germany, that I'm going to share with you guys a little bit later. A lot of research behind this, a lot of amazing self-help that's available for this. Photobiomodulation, that's light therapy, red light therapy. I'm going to talk specifically about that because there's new ophthalmic uses using red light therapy and photobiomodulation that conventional ophthalmology is already using, but there are newer applications that can really help the eye's visual system, specifically the optic nerve. Things like hyperbaric oxygen therapy that can get the oxygen to the optic nerve if there's vascular dysregulation. Molecular hydrogen therapy, which is a newer therapy that's out of Japan, actually. They started researching that in around 2007, 2008. That's rapidly becoming a treatment for central nervous system issues, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, brain strokes, traumatic brain injuries. We use it in clinic for vision issues. And what hyperbaric oxygen does is it's a very powerful antioxidant, anti-inflammatory that also benefit mitochondrial function. Then, of course, we use targeted supplementation. I'm going to give you guys towards the end of this presentation some my recommended supplements for glaucoma for you guys to consider. We also recommend eye qigong. These are eye exercises that help people keep the blood flow and the eyes soft and relaxed. And then, of course, the macros we talk about, lifestyle, habit modifications, lifestyle that support healthy vision. And again, these are just not conversations that a lot of people are having, at least your eye doctors are not having with you on things you can do in your life and habits you can create that will support healthy vision. Both macro, sleep, exercise, stress reduction, all that, and micro specifically that will help the optic nerve and eyes. So then we really zoom out and people ask, like, what do we do? Like, what are we trying to achieve with patients who come in, whether it's early stage glaucoma, mid stage, or advanced stage? The first thing we're trying to do is charge up dormant cells. Now, some of the cells in the optic nerve, if you're mid or advanced stage, could be scarred over and they could be dead. But some of them can also be dormant in sleeping. So when we use some of these therapeutic modalities, we can actually wake up some of the dormant cells in the optic nerve and retina in some cases, which will result in some recovered vision. Then we want to help regenerate and repair the sick and damaged cells that are functionally not working optimally and structurally stressed out. So the recharge cells, the cell structure is fine. It's like your cell phone when the battery dies. You just got to charge it up and it's working. Now, the regeneration are cells that are damaged. They're not dead yet, but they need some coaxing and they need some care to help repair, rehabilitate, and recover them. So then once we've healed the sick cells and recharged the cells that are dormant, just want to help you keep what you got. And we do that through preservation, through specific strategies that, again, help manage things like inflammation, maintain blood flow, deal with the oxidative stress, and any other stress factors that could be impacting your optic nerve and overall visual health. So, and what this looks like is the initial support is originally where we're charging these cells. And that's usually over the first month or so. And it's kind of a sprint. People often say they see better, things are brighter. We see improvements on the visual fields, contrast, dark adaptation, all of that. Over a year or so, it takes about a year, 8 to 15 months on average for a sick or damaged nerve cell to repair. All right. It can be even up to 2 years based on my friends who are kind of do more with brain trauma and stuff like that. And then after that, after about a year of recovery, then the treatment strategy switches to helping patients preserve their vision long term. So maintenance really is about preservation and protecting long term, where the first two phases are trying to see if possible if we can try to recover any vision, which in a lot of cases we can, sometimes a little bit, sometimes a lot of it. And that's all depending on the amount or quantity of dormant cells. And so that's how that works. And what patients ultimately experience are stabilization, right? They're trying to, a lot of people want to recover some vision for sure. And that is useful, right? stabilization, but even better, a lot of people will even recover some vision, which is amazing because, as you know, or you've probably been told, glaucoma is kind of a one-way street. It doesn't ever improve. It just kind of stabilizes or gets worse. So it's pretty amazing when some of the glaucoma specialists and ophthalmologists that I work with, when they go back, our patients go back to their eye doctors for testing, and they actually confirm through third-party testing that there is actual immediate improvement and long-term sustained improvement. So it's really cool. Everybody's happy. Doctors are happy. Patients are happy. And then we see some people experience continued decline, especially if there's other eye conditions going on or other comorbidities. But it is dramatically slowed down. So you have a lot of people coming in like, oh my God, my vision was okay, and then we lost a lot really quickly. So we want to try to help stabilize and recover if possible. And then, of course, results will depend from person to person. Everybody's different. Consistency, severity of treatment, and overall health. Bigger mess, more to clean up, right? Just makes sense. Earlier stage, overall health's pretty good. Not too much to really do, just in terms of we want to put in place some supportive measures to help people preserve. So I want to talk to you guys about something that's pretty interesting. Maybe you've heard about this, maybe you haven't. Alternating current stimulation. Now, this is a form of microcurrent. There's a lot of research on this on PubMed and Google Scholar. Most of the work that's been done around alternating current microcurrent has come out of Germany by two doctors. One, his name is Dr. Sabel, and the other one is Dr. Fedorov. They're both in Germany. Now, when I was doing my research with Johns Hopkins University about 15 years ago on retinitis pigmentosa, we came across Dr. Fedorov and Dr. Sabel's work with alternating current stimulation, and we even tried we contacted them and found out what they were using and actually used these protocols inside that research. Now, I was so fascinated with this new work that I started using it in clinic for about 10 years, which was amazing. I actually used it mostly with children. We had a lot of pediatric cases with optic nerve atrophy and macular issues and retinal issues. So a lot of kids, obviously, we do acupuncture, and look, an 8-year-old kid is not always going to be super thrilled about, having needles put in them. So we created an AcuVision Junior program where we have needle-free techniques. So we're using alternating current stimulation as a needle-free treatment for these kids and young adults in clinic. Now, the results were so great that we started using them with all of our patients. And then COVID hit, about 5 years ago, and a lot of our patients couldn't get to our clinic for treatment. So my pivot there and the work that I did during COVID was to try to figure out how to take this technology, the alternating current stimulation, which is originally designed specifically for optic nerve repair and regeneration, and be able to bring that for people to be able to use home treatments. So there is this idea that, and the research is showing that alternating current stimulation treatment, which is very similar. It's almost like taking TENS. Have any of you guys ever used a TENS unit? It's just little pads that we place at different areas over the eyes, above, below the sides, and even over the eyes, that will help stimulate the optic nerve on a very low, safe level. Can never do any damage with this stuff because the frequency and the intensities are so low. It really helps keep the optic nerve stimulated. And that's what's very important. We talked earlier about reducing the stress factors like inflammation, circulation issues, oxidative stress on the optic nerve, but also we want to support nerve structure and function. And nerves thrive when they're being stimulated, right? So what this does, it's a workout for your eyes and your optic nerve. So we've had tremendous success with this. We do in-office treatments with this. A lot of our patients have actually gone to Germany for these treatments. And now we've taken that technology and made it in a home treatment capacity. So it's really interesting. And we have about 3,000 patients around the world using this right now. Really, really interesting. I don't want to spend too much time on this just because we have a limited time, but I just wanted to introduce this to you guys. And on your own, please, 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 if you're interested in things like alternating current stimulation, I have a ton of videos on this on my YouTube page. Dr. Andy Rosenfarb on YouTube. If you're a research head and you want to go look online to find it, you'll see the medical research as rtACS, right? Or as you see up here, it's TTOS. But the most recent research that they're doing with, and they're actually been doing research in, I think Stanford is doing research as well on this study and there's another college doing specifically in glaucoma. I think it was San Francisco they're doing specifically microcurrent research for glaucoma. So this is going to be really big over the next couple of years. And not only does it help with recovery, but really helps maintain and preserve vision, also manages regression prevention. So it's a really awesome tool for people who are looking to do more of a home-based treatment strategy. So I wanted to introduce that. The next is, let me see if I can get here, is red light therapy. Now, I talked about this a little bit earlier. So red light therapy has been used probably the last 5 or 10 years. I was at the Eye Expo last year at the Javits Center in New York, and there was probably about 24 different companies that were selling and showing everybody how to use red light therapy for mostly ocular surface issues, right? Conventional ophthalmology is using it for ocular surface issues, dry eye, chalazion, meibomian gland dysfunction, things like that. So it's already making its way into conventional ophthalmology. And again, Europe is in Italy. Italy, they're already started using the red light therapies in different spectrums of light therapy and photobiomodulation for retinal, macular, and optic nerve health. So one of the companies that we sourced out of Europe was manufacturing red light glasses for ophthalmic use. And this is what we've been looking for. I've been very interested in red light therapy for a long time. Now, here's the kicker. And this was the problem that we're experiencing. A lot of you guys probably know of the panels, right? The red light therapy panels that a lot of people use for muscle aches and pains and Lyme disease and whatever conditions. Those panels are way too strong to use for ophthalmic use. They will, in fact, cause harm to the retina, the macula, and the optic nerve. It is just too strong. So with this red light therapy is specifically designed for the eyes, and it's very low dose, right? It's about 8 milliwatts and 670 nanometers, which is what the researchers have found is safe and useful for people with ophthalmic issues. Now, I have a little refractive issues, but I don't have any eye health issues. So I do this once or twice a week myself just to charge up the mitochondria. And that's exactly what red light therapy does. It activates directly the mitochondria to help with circulation, repair, and regeneration. Now, it's a very easy treatment that patients are doing at 3 minutes a day. And the devices are very reasonably priced too, which is why we can we keep these on the shelf. They're usually run like $150. So for, in terms of affordability, most people are seeing real. And one of the biggest benefits that we've had from patients, not only is it looking like it's reducing eye pressure for some people, it also is helping tremendously with night vision. So those of you guys who really had some problems with night vision and clarity, this might be something to consider. So again, just be on the lookout for this. Photobiomodulation is really a newer therapy that started or is currently being utilized by conventional ophthalmology for ocular surface issues. But over the next few years, we're going to see a much more deeper, broader use for neurological, neurovascular conditions like glaucoma, macular degeneration, eye strokes, retinal detachments, whether they're acute or progressive. And again, this is another therapy that's totally safe. No side effects. You can't do any harm with any of these. And that's really the type of treatments that I look for when I recommend them. Can't do any harm. And there have to be at least a 70% or more a positive result, meaning 7 out of 10 people have to see measurable improvements. So red light therapy is another really cool thing that we see a lot of people using. We use this in clinic with our patients, and then this is another therapy that people can do at home on a daily basis. Okay, let's talk, as we start getting ready to wrap up, let's talk a little bit about optic nerve health supplements. Okay. I always get asked about what are my favorite supplements for glaucoma. There are a lot based on research that really can help really maintain glaucoma health, optic nerve health. And that's what we're after. So things like ginkgo biloba, which you're probably well aware, really helps increase blood flow and maintain blood flow to the brain, the retina, and the optic nerve. It's one of the main supplements. Sativa is another really good one that we use. L-taurine is another amino acid. This is one of my top A-listers for glaucoma. L-taurine is the most abundant amino acid found in the eye and optic nerve. It also can help lower eye pressure and preserve the optic nerve. So L-taurine is a very, very useful and important nutrient for people with glaucoma. Omega-3 DHAs, everybody knows that, right? Fish oils, if you can't do fish oils because you're a vegetarian, vegan, or they don't agree with you, you can do plant-based. Algae oil is really good. You can do coconut oil, you can do flax oil, you can do borage oil, evening primrose oil. These are all plant-based sources of omega-3 DHAs, which are absolutely fine. Even krill oil is very useful. And with krill oil, you're going to get the added benefit of lutein zeaxanthin inside the astaxanthin part of that. So you're not only getting omega-3 DHAs, but you are getting the carotenoid antioxidant protection as well. Vitamin C, very important for the optic nerve. Also, some research shows it may help lower eye pressure in terms of that process, as well as being a very important antioxidant. CoQ10, critical antioxidant, and for mitochondrial support. Also, if you are taking statins for blood cholesterol, serum cholesterol levels, CoQ10 is essential because the statins, anti-cholesterol meds, will strip CoQ10 from your body. So it's just one of the negative side effects. So please, I highly recommend, if you were taking statins like Lipitor or anything like that, use CoQ10 for your nerve health, brain health, eye health, all that. Pine bark, a lot of research around that shows it lowers eye pressure and increases optic nerve blood flow. Magnesium can also help lower pressure and relax the vascular system, improving circulation. Lutein zeaxanthin, astaxanthin, carotenoid antioxidant protection, specifically against UV radiation and blue light. Newer research on nicotinamide, NAD, B3 for mitochondrial support. Certainly things like CBD can be very useful as well as we talked about molecular hydrogen. Now, for molecular hydrogen, the oral administration comes in little tablets that you drop in water, and they release hydrogen gas and you drink it. Or they have these hydrogen water bottles that you can go online on Amazon. It'll mix up hydrogen water, infuse it into water, you drink it down. Getting hydrogen water into your body is totally safe. It gets out of your body, doesn't accumulate in a half hour. And again, it is a free radical scavenger that helps scavenge free radicals, reduces inflammation, and really supports the mitochondria. So those are some nutritional strategies for you in terms of supplements. I know some of you guys are into supplements. And again, I'm not into the kitchen sink with supplements. When patients come work with me, I'm very specific and strategic about what nutrients I want to put them on based on their condition. So I know this is kind of a laundry list of different supplements, but some of the formulas that we use have a bunch of these kind of baked into a single formulation. So again, the idea here is really to support the optic nerve, manage eye pressure if that needs to be managed, as well as preserving the optic nerve function and integrity overall, structurally and functionally. So real quick, I wanted to mention one of my first patients that came to visit me. His name was Manny. This guy was something else. I literally was in my second year of practice, and Manny had pretty advanced glaucoma. And he was a tough guy from Brooklyn, very, very shrewd businessman, but a really awesome guy. He's probably about 5 foot tall, but his personality was that of a giant. He was just really a present, very well spoken, very successful businessman, and just an overall great guy. And how Manny is relevant to my story is Manny came into me probably 28 years ago, 29 years ago, with, again, glaucoma. And the conviction that this guy had that I was going to be the one to help him through acupuncture, or any of my modalities, as I was just getting started, was inspirational and life pivotal for me. He was so convinced that just I was going to be able to help him. And I just at this point I just got into treating eyes. I was very new to it. I don't really know that much about it, but I couldn't believe his level of confidence in what we were going to be able to do. And over the years, we developed a great relationship, and we were able to recover about 30 to 40% of Manny's vision. Again, he had bilateral glaucoma, pretty progressive vision loss, but he couldn't read. Like when we first started working together, he couldn't read, he couldn't watch TV. Everything was really fuzzy. He had pretty good dark light perception, but his acuity was pretty much gone. His peripheral vision was pretty much shot, and his night vision wasn't great. So while the peripheral vision opened somewhat, the night vision improved quite dramatically. But what was the most important, because the optic nerve fibers that Manny were pretty beat up, were the optic nerve fibers that relayed information from the macula and the central vision, the fovea, to the brain. So those nerve fibers were not working very well when we first started. So his central vision wasn't good. He couldn't read. He couldn't see faces. He was having a hard time with that. So what happens, we started treatment, and a lot of Manny's cells that affected his central vision in the optic nerve, again, that relay center, were dormant, and they started to recover. And Manny really we're both of us shocked at the rate at which he was able to start to read again and see font, not perfectly, but it was quite profound. And I had no idea what was going on back then. I was like, oh my God, I really haven't. I was like, oh, cool. I had no understanding, no mechanism. I didn't know about circulation and blood flow. Everything I'm bringing to you guys today, I was green. Like I just knew very little on anatomy, physiology. We didn't get a huge education on that back in the day when I was in acupuncture school. So I was just kind of like what I would call poke and pray. We do acupuncture and like, oh, we got a great result. But what was wild is when we went back to his eye doctor, his glaucoma specialist in New York, and the glaucoma specialist reached out to me. It was like, this is really cool. I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm very good friends with Manny. He's been with me for decades. He asked me to call you just to talk about it. So we had this amazing conversation, and that was another inspirational time for me, because he was the first conventional glaucoma specialist of many that followed, including Bob Rich, the late Bob Rich, who was was very affiliated and very inspirational with glaucoma. But that started a line of glaucoma specialists and ophthalmologists that were open to this integrative model. So with Manny, when we really started focusing on the circulation, managing the inflammation, and optic nerve support, and left the eye pressure to his glaucoma specialist, and again, we had a great conversation, like he got a lot of improvement and long-term stability. Now, unfortunately, Manny's not with us any longer, and I'll wrap this story up with about 8 years ago, I was finishing up for the evening in my office, and a man had come into, about at the time, maybe about 50 years old, and just walked in. I'd never seen this guy before, or so I thought. And I was like, oh, can I help you? He's like, oh, I'm Manny's son. He's like, my father passed a couple years ago, but I was in the neighborhood, and your name is like, hyper present, has always been for the last couple of years in our family. And it literally brought me to tears. I was like, oh my God, like loved your dad. Like we just kind of got into it for a while and just talked about his family. And I told him stories that I had with Manny. He was telling me stories. So it was just this real pivotal time for me that really solidified that this was my life's work. I was like, I just saw not only the benefit from Manny, but also hearing it from his son years later, how the treatments we did not only helped him see better, but the radiant effect and how it impacted his life was really significant. So I really wanted to, again, I know we're getting close to the end, but I wanted to share that story. A couple more things before we wrap up. So we look at patients when they come in, like Manny, we want to look at the clinical findings. Like, what does the eye doctor's report say? What do we find when we do our vision testing? What are your comorbidities? What medications are you on? How are you responding to treatment? What risks do you have? What I mean by that, are there any other major issues going on that are kind of urgent or sensitive right now? What are your goals, right? Are we early stage, mid stage, advanced stage? What's your lifestyle capacity? What can we do to help optimize not only your eye health, but your overall health? So again, my role here is to really help translate what I see clinically into a care path that will help you recover and preserve your vision to the degree that you want to do that. You want help. So, what the approach does and what it doesn't do, it can support eye health and again, deal with this environment, protects and slows progression, improves function in a lot of cases. And again, the focus here is optic nerve. Again, I keep saying it. I let the conventional glaucoma specialists do what they do well, focus on eye pressure. I focus on the optic nerve. We're not curing glaucoma. We're not replacing medical care. We're not guaranteeing outcomes, but we're guaranteeing a approach that can really help the health and functionality of the optic nerve, the eye, the brain, the visual system, and health overall. So what can you do right now? Right? This is where we're at. So what can you do today? If you don't have any other thing to do, you can exercise, you can walk, deep breathing exercise, vascular health to increase circulation. You can monitor your blood sugar, watch your diet, help improve your metabolic health, manage stress, sleep better, right? Manage your overall nervous system, your brain health, consistent daily health habits, right? Exercise, hydration, eat regularly, anything that's going to keep your overall system. We call these your macros, right? Your lifestyle. Everybody who I start getting this overlooks and minimizes the role of your habits and lifestyle as it pertains to your eye health and overall health. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I'm going to be happy to take questions, but for those of you guys who want to learn a little bit more about what I do and my approach, as I stated, I do have a YouTube page, Dr. Andy Rosenfarb. Our website is Eye Health Institute, and we do have a Facebook group too. Those of you guys on social media, if you put Dr. Andy Rosenfarb, AcuVision is the therapeutic modality, is kind of the system that I put together. But Eye Health Institute is our website. So if you go to the website and you click on glaucoma or any other eye conditions, we have videos, we have trainings, we have recommendations for this. So the idea here first is just to educate. If you're new to all this and you don't know anything about integrative holistic treatments or alternative medicine, just start educating yourself. See if it makes sense. For some people, it might not, but some people it may. And for those people who it does, I'm going to stop my screen share for a minute. Okay, good. So for those of you guys who are interested in learning more, then feel free to reach out again through email. You can call our office and we can have a conversation about what your situation is, because we don't accept all new patients to our clinic. Unfortunately, like everything else, we can't help everybody, but we do try to do our best, and we're very good at vetting who is a good candidate for our treatment programs and who is not. So with that said, I want to thank you guys for allowing me this presentation. And at this time, I want to open up to some questions. And you want to take that?
Everybody, well, first of all, Andy, thank you. That was wonderful. I can't believe how much ground you covered.
Yes.
So I'm sure there are a lot of questions. So just unmute yourself. And there is somebody who raised her hand, and
Yeah.
Schnorr. So we can start with her while the rest of you are kind of queuing up.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It was very informative.
Thanks, Ed.
I'm going to say like onset of glaucoma, nothing's really changed. I'm on eye drops, but I've done like a deep dive to connect every which way. And Anne is one of those. And I'm very thankful that I have, because she's brought me and you into my life. I'm in Canada, and I'm wondering, you do virtual calls? Do you
Yeah.
have any associations in Canada?
We do telehealth. So I usually start with that. We have patients all over the world that we work with remotely. Some come to clinic, some we do full remote work. So yeah, I do offer telehealth consultations for people out of the area. And we absolutely can come up with a really solid remote treatment plan for people who, for whatever reason can't get to New Jersey or that just doesn't work out. But in terms of, I don't really have any affiliates right now. It's just kind of me, but we do offer remote telehealth services.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome, man. Great to see you.
I have a question, Anne.
Yes?
Have you had any success with the fuzziness and the blurriness?
Well, that's a great question, Anna. So the
Because,
thing, yeah,
I've had improvement in all these other areas. My visual field has gotten better.
yeah,
The progression has somewhat slowed, but the
blurry.
biggest problem is that it's all foggy.
Yeah. Now you had cataract
Foggy
surgery?
stuff. What?
You had cataract surgery?
I've had cataracts in both eyes.
Okay. Did you have the capsulectomy? Did they do the after that? 'Cause that's the first thing I would check too, the secondary cataracts. And look, for a lot of people, if you're
I've checked that also.
okay.
That whatever you do for the secondary.
So there's a couple of other things, like blurriness, and that can come from a lot of things. It could come, obviously, we mentioned cataracts, secondary cataracts. It could come from dryness, dry eyes. It could come from the irritation from the eye drops. And in some cases, it just can be some from the optic nerve damage, some of the scar tissue that built up. So again, it's important to figure out which one of those is really causing it.
So I've gotten rid of all of them.
Yeah.
Dry eye is better. My visual field is better.
Yeah.
My secondary cataract has been taken care of.
Yeah.
I've gotten off of all my eye drops except one drop.
Wow.
One eye at night. But the fog keeps getting worse.
Okay.
So is that
Light sensitive too? Yeah, those are things that, again, what we do is when we hop up, we figure out why. So the idea is this: there's always something causing it, right? These things don't happen. So the detective hat, I put on my Sherlock Holmes hat, and the idea is we go down to figure out, do an audit and an analysis of your system to really figure out what's causing the blurriness in your case or whatever else is going with anybody else. So
Have you
that's
had success, though?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
After we figure out,
after particular things though that
yes. So again, it's a matter of figuring out what it is. So we have to figure out what it is first. Then once we figure it out, then we can make recommendations to correct or improve that. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Catherine had her hand up, I think, first. So let's go to Catherine.
Yes. In the support group, several people mentioned double vision, and I have been noticing that. And I was wondering, is this, I have probably early stages of glaucoma in my left eye. My right eye is fine. I'm actually kind of feeling like the two eyes are like completely belong to completely different brains. It's like one vision from one side. And I'm actually got to the point where I'm closing my left eye, which is the glaucoma eye. If I'm going to read, I can read with glasses or also without glasses. But is the double vision, is that due to the eye drops? Is it a manifestation of glaucoma? Where would I start to find out why this is happening?
Yes, yes, and yes. So think of it as a brain thing. So the eyes aren't working together because your brain is basically saying, okay, this eye's really good, this eye's shot. So what you want, one of the best things you can do to kind of help work on that is 20 minutes a day, patch the good eye, make your brain work the weak eye out. And over a couple of weeks, that'll start getting them work together. But it is because the whole visual system, the brain, the optic nerve, it's part of all of that. So one of my favorite recommendations to help re-engage the eyes working together is to make the brain use the weak eye more. And if you simply patch the good eye for 20 minutes a day, often that could be enough to do that. Hope that helps.
Can you put the contact numbers down again?
Yes. I'll do that while Ann, you're fielding questions.
Well, Pat has another question. Actually, the contact numbers, I can send them when I send out the recording.
Okay. That means I can't call tomorrow. Right?
Sunday, we're out. Anybody else have questions?
Yes,
Oh, we
I
have a
have
couple.
a question. I was wondering, you mentioned a couple of devices for the stimulating, alternating current stimulation and the other one, the light therapy.
Yep.
Are either of those devices FDA approved?
They are.
They are.
Red light therapy is approved. Microcurrent stimulation is approved. Yep.
Oh, good
When
to
did
know.
the microcurrent get approved?
Oh, microcurrent's been used for 40 years for ophthalmic use.
What?
Yeah, microcurrent's been used for about 40 years. The upgrade from direct current to alternating current, that's the big upgrade. And that's where we saw a lot more benefits, especially for glaucoma patients.
I was in a study at Langone.
Oh, cool.
At that time, it supposedly wasn't approved, and they were looking to get it approved. That was only, what, 5 years ago?
Yeah. Yep.
So
Well,
is it the big machine that
about
is
the size of a
approved?
cell phone.
But
So the
your
ACS,
machine, the small one, is?
yeah, it's about the size of a deck of cards or a cell phone.
So that one is approved.
Yep.
Well, why is the big one not approved?
Not sure, because I'm not sure.
Okay. But
Okay,
that was-
Good
Nahum.
question.
Nahum has a question.
Yes, thank you very much. Very interesting presentation.
Thank you.
Regarding red glasses, you mentioned that there are 24 or whatever various versions of it, which you've seen somewhere at the conference or whatever it is, presentation.
Yep.
Probably there are more over the road. But have you checked which ones of them kind of are working well as opposed to they advertise as working well?
Yes.
Because there's a lot of stuff coming from China.
So they got these ones that are over the eyes and just do the forehead. Don't like those. The ones we use are right over the eyes. The ones that are all over YouTube and Facebook right now, they have these that kind of shine over the forehead. They don't work. We tried those years ago. But the ones that go right over the eyes get very good results.
Yeah. But do you have some list somewhere of what works of
if you
models?
reach out to me, I'll give you the ones that work, that I find work best.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It would be nice if you can put it on your website as well.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yep.
That would help, because a lot of those things are approved by FDA based on the model and brand rather than just general approval, so that is the difference. Same for radio frequencies. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Pat's hand is up.
Yes. Thank you so much, Doctor. And
you're welcome.
I appreciate everyone that's here. I wanted to find out, is the acupuncture for the eyes covered by any of our medical health insurance, and is your telehealth visits covered by our medical?
That's a great question. That will depend on your individual policy. So some policies will cover and some won't. We do have some patients that get covered and others that don't. So that's going to be very individualized. It's worth checking insurance to see if there's coverage for sure.
Does Medicare cover anything?
Wait again?
Does Medicare cover anything?
Doesn't cover acupuncture. Secondary picks up, but right now Medicare does not cover acupuncture at all.
How about all your other things?
Again, it's just going to depend on the policy. Some of the policies will pick up. We've had some patients get reimbursed for red light therapy, for the alternating current units. So it really depends on the policy.
But isn't Medicare pretty standard?
Medicare does not. Well, so Medicare, people have their secondaries. So Medicare will not cover. But the secondaries will pick up after Medicare rejects. We've had that. That's just, it's a game.
Do you have anybody in New York City who does acupuncture for the eye?
I don't have it. I don't have any, but we have a lot of our patients come from the city because they're about 25 minutes outside. I don't have anybody in Manhattan I know a lot of acupuncturists. I don't know anybody that focuses on ophthalmology.
Andy, I've had acupuncture for the eye in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I had a wonderful Chinese acupuncturist. I've gone to him for so many years.
Oh, great.
Yes, and I think everybody will be interested. Some of you may have heard this story before, but I was a patient of Dr. Rich, and he was really, that was how you and I came to be acquainted.
Yep.
And he was really open to everything that could help. I told him that I was doing acupuncture and that I felt it helped my eyes. So he designed a little study, and he got his radiologist, I don't know if that's the right word, but he got him involved, and I had a Doppler done pre-treatment, both eyes. And then we treated only one eye. I think it was for 6 weeks. And after the treatment, the Doppler was done again for both eyes. And the radiologist couldn't believe the difference. In the treated eye, the blood flow was so much better.
Amazing.
Yeah, really amazing. The problem I had was that I got to the point I just couldn't stand the needles in my face anymore.
Yeah.
Hello, honey.
But Dr. Rich never found anybody in the city that he recommended to go to for acupuncture. So, I mean,
he didn't recommend anybody. I mean, I used this doctor, the acupuncturist.
Is he still around?
Yeah. I still use him for various things from various time to time.
Can you send his name, please?
Yeah, I'm sure I've given it to you before, Tina.
Yeah.
He is in Brooklyn.
He's in Brooklyn.
Yeah. There are probably, I just don't know, obviously, every acupuncturist, but I'm sure there are different acupuncturists that have skill sets. Just make sure if you guys are looking for an acupuncturist like Ann's acupuncturist, they do know what they're doing and they have some training and experience in dealing with glaucoma. Some will, some won't. So you want to vet them on that.
Bobby,
Any other
you
questions?
had a question?
Yes, I have a question. It's Elaine.
No, Bobby's been waiting. Wait
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Please.
Hi, Andy.
Hi, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm so happy you're here. I did ask you this question, and you said, unfortunately, your wonderful work cannot help people with exfoliation syndrome, which is what I have. Can you do a little explanation of why that might be?
No, it can. It's a different mechanism. So pseudo exfoliation is just different than primary open angle glaucoma. So the strategy is similar. We're really going after preserving the optic nerve. So if there's pressure issues, they're going to do whatever procedures to lower the pressure. I leave that to the glaucoma specialist. But when it comes to working on protecting and preserving the optic nerve, that is definitely something that we can help anybody with any form of glaucoma, whether it's normal tension, primary open angles, pseudo exfoliation, any form. So again, the focus is really to get that optic nerve in good health and maintain it.
Okay. Can you, and no one can help me with this. I'm currently suffering with tremendous head pressure for years since I had a laser procedure on the one eye. My other eye is 20/20, left eye.
Yeah.
Right eye, I had all kinds of, drops, laser, you name it. So now I'm left with this for years, a pressure in the 50s, consistent. Nothing, I don't do anything with it. I live with this tremendous pressure extending through my sinuses, my head.
Yeah, right.
And it's a total mystery. So I'm a mystery case. There it is.
I would seriously try acupuncture with that. That sounds like a perfect thing. Yeah, that's I would definitely you have tried acupuncture?
Oh yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
I'm very difficult.
I would try craniosacral then. I would try craniosacral therapy. See if that helps. Because that'll kind of loosen everything up.
Thank you.
I would give that a shot. Yep.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You got it. Elaine, you have a question?
Yes, I do. I'm on a blood thinner, and I was wondering if any of those supplements, you had a beautiful list of supplements there, if they're contraindicated if you're on a blood thinner.
Well, you want to be careful with ginkgo and omega-3 DHAs because they do thin the blood. A small amount probably wouldn't cause any problems. And I always tell people to watch out. See if when they brush your teeth, your gums start bleeding anymore. You bruise a little bit easier. Most people taking a small dose isn't an issue, but of course you want to err on the side of caution.
But
those two are
the L-taurine, that one is always...
No, not a blood thinner. That's not a blood thinner. Just ginkgo and fish oils.
Oh, okay.
Small dose.
Thank you.
What is a small dose of ginkgo?
It depends on the size. It depends on somebody's size. So like if you get a dry, I usually tell people want a small dose, get like liquid, ginkgo liquid, and either put it in juice or just do one dropper. That's what I consider a small dose. It's like a dropper full once or twice a day.
It's 120 milligrams a high dose?
Yeah, 100 or less is fine. Yeah, you're safe with 100 or less. Higher doses are going to be 200, 300, 400 for some people.
But Rich had us on 120 milligrams.
Yeah, that's totally safe. I think baby aspirin is more than that. So
my current doctor told me to stop taking ginkgo. My current ophthalmologist said that was contraindicated.
Maybe for blood thinner. Yeah, maybe for blood thinners for sure. Makes sense. Okay, guys, anybody else have questions?
You've mentioned acupuncture, but what about acupressure? Is there any role for that?
Yes, that's a great question, John. So with the acupressure, those are the eye exercises. So even if you go to our YouTube page, we do have eye yoga, eye qigong exercise, which do include acupressure points that we show you guys how to use. So John, if you go to my YouTube page and you put in eye exercises, those will come up. They're free.
Cool.
Yeah. And again, with glaucoma, guys, temples are really important in the back of the neck. Really, really important to release the neck. I've had patients, I've seen eye pressure drop just from releasing tension in the neck and shoulders. Very, very important. All right, got a couple more questions.
Yeah, I had a question, John. John's question just reminded me. The nicotinamide and NAD+. We had a conversation last month about that in the support session. And is there a difference between them? And if so, what?
The NAD plus it's usually done through IV. You can take it orally, but it's not as effective. It's also crazy expensive. So I tell people do the oral caps or the B3. That's just as good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Deb, you got a question?
Yes, Andy, a great presentation. I look forward to
Thanks.
seeing the slides because I joined a little late. I have a question. I had a lazy eye as a child. Have you seen any help for people with childhood lazy eyes working on the optic nerve, or is it too late?
It depends. So if you've gone through puberty and it's been since childhood, it's probably always going to be there. And a lot of times they'll correct that surgically. But again, as I mentioned earlier, one of the best, easiest strategies you can do to try to get the eyes working together is try to patch the good eye for about 20 minutes a day. And that'll force your brain to be like, oh, this eye's gone. I have to use this one. So give that a shot. It's not going to hurt. May help a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you got
go ahead.
Anne, did you have a question?
It was Ann Schnur.
Yeah.
Yep, sorry. I lowered my hand and forgot to unmute. You mentioned Casey Means.
Yeah.
I happened to look up her on the internet. Is that the
Yeah.
Good Energy book that you were
It
talking
is. It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Great book. Great book.
Okay.
It's awesome. You guys are going to love it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've seen beet supplements.
Yes. Nitric oxide.
Is that any good?
Yeah, super great. Eating beets are the best, but if you don't like beets or whatever, nitric oxide tablets really, which are beet juice mostly, they will help dilate the blood vessels, not like medically, but they will help improve the vasodilation and the nitric oxide to improve blood flow to the brain, the eye, and the optic nerve. Great point, Elaine.
Can you repeat that, please?
Beet?
Beet?
Yeah, B-E-E-T, as in the vegetable.
Yes.
So they're very high in nitric oxide. So when you eat them, it's very good for vascular health. So some people don't like beets. You can actually take powdered supplements or capsules as well. One of my favorites. I forgot to mention that, but thanks for bringing that up, Elaine. Really, really important. Roger, you got a question, bud?
If I have one eye where the pressure needs to be lowered, but the other eye is perfect and I don't want to lower it, is it dangerous to use CBD?
No. And that, guys, so a lot of people talk, like there's been a couple of articles that show that CBD can raise eye pressure. I just want to be straight. We have for 10 years, we have patients using our own blend of CBD. I have never, we check eye pressure in our clinic. I've never seen a case increase. So I know that there's talk about that. There is no risk of raising eye pressure with CBD. So I know there was some research floating around or some articles floating around over the years, but it's totally safe and it's very, very, very effective for helping stabilize glaucoma. So it's a good question, Raj.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you taking it internally or?
Yeah, orally, sublingually. Usually tincture is best.
How do conventional pharmaceutical eye drops work to lower the pressure?
Yeah, they work. The problem is,
how do they work?
Well, there's two ways. Once they either reduce the aqueous inflow, the amount of production, they'll dry the eye out essentially, or they'll help with the drainage. So think of your bathtub, too much water in, or the drain's clogged and you're not getting enough flow out. So that's what both the surgeries and the eye drops are trying to do.
Is there a way to lower the viscosity? Make it flow better?
Hyaluronic acid and hydrating would probably do that. Trying to get the thin out the viscosities you said. Hyaluronic acid. But you got to be careful with that because it could also raise eye pressure. So red light therapy can do that. Just staying hydrated is really what electrolytes, magnesium, potassium, things like that. Those will help with the viscosity.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Bobby, what do you got?
Andy, one more time.
Shoot.
There is nothing in the research community regarding at the moment to bring down or prevent or whatever the exfoliative process in the body. There's nothing.
Correct.
Okay. Correct. Okay. So
there's no drug, no surgery for it. But, like I said, while they're trying to figure that out, let's focus on the optic nerve.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You got it. Yes, Dana.
If you patch your good eye, but your other eye has very little vision.
Yes.
Be careful.
The visual
Don't drive.
the visual field is very bad.
Yeah.
Can you still improve the?
It's worth a try. You know, like it's no guarantee, but you're doing a brain eye exercise. And obviously I wouldn't recommend doing much when you do that. You know, hang around the house, maybe, you know, sit around or listen to an audiobook, but just make sure you're looking around, exercising it, but give it a shot. You know, it's one of those things that's just cheap and not expensive and easy to do at home. So for some people it's going to work, some people it's not.
I wouldn't dare try to move around. I mean, there's such a tiny bit of.
Yeah, I hear you.
But it might help. Have you ever seen it help?
A lot of times I've seen it help. That's why it's worth doing.
All right. I'll try it.
Yeah. You know, I give it 6 weeks, 6 to 12 weeks, like 2 to 3 months of trying it. That's a fair amount of time.
Andy, could you just put your number and your address?
I did in the chat.
Back
if you guys look
before you go.
Oh yeah, let me do that.
Andy, why? From what?
Yeah.
Oh, I think we're losing you. Okay. Somehow my screen went black. Okay. Why sometimes, or many times actually, one eye is affected and the other eye is not? How does that happen?
A great question. They're different organs, different blood vessels, different nerves. You think eyes, but 9 out of 10 times are different.
928.
Most of my patients will have one eye good and one eye not so good.
Okay.
They're different organs. Like the lungs, the kidneys, you know, you can have one good, one not so good. It's very common for that.
Okay.
Everybody have all the information? All right, I'm going to stop the share and we can start to wrap up.
I have a question if you can cut the time.
Yeah, sure, Joe. What do you got?
Do you have any familiarity with DMSO eye drops?
Oh, yes, I do. And again, there's a lot of newer research. So what we've been doing, John, is we've been combining DMSO with castor oil, anywhere from a 20 to 30% solution. And I'm not talking about it too much because we've only been doing this for the last year and I haven't had enough data back, but we have probably about 200 to 300 patients now who are using the castor oil DMSO drops. Again, nobody's had any problems with it in terms of negative side effects, but it's too early for me to see if it's actually helping with optic nerve regeneration, but we have absolutely had a few cases reported that eye pressure has gone down, and without question, dry eye is better.
Okay, the ones I'm familiar with are DMSO and vitamin C and glutathione.
Yeah, think about the castor oil, 20 or 30%. It's new, so again, I'm not. Since you asked, I'll talk about it, but I'm not ready to kind of get behind it until I see the benefits. But we have it so far. We have a lot of people using it. A lot of people in our group, a lot of patients haven't seen any negative side effects, but I need to see more data before I get behind it fully.
Available for you?
Yeah, we have it in our office. We don't sell online, but we have a woman in Georgia who manufactures it for us. And she has thousands of people that she's been working with this. So if you guys want to reach out to me, I could give you her information or give you some guidance on that. Anybody's interested.
What does it help?
It's DMSO, which is a solvent. Anti-inflammatory, has been used topically for pain. You don't want to use it 100%, 99%. You do not want to put that in your eye. It's going to hurt. But if you use 20 or 30%, mix that with castor oil and use those as drops, we're seeing a lot of improvement, preliminary, in terms of feedback. I haven't tested it, so I'm just getting feedback from people.
Improvement in pressure? Or is
pressure, visual field, clarity, dry eye. I've had a lot of different reports so far. None bad.
Cataracts as well.
Yes, significant cataracts. Actually, the woman who's my supplier, she was able to get rid of cataracts without surgery. Her claim. So that kind of piqued my interest in it. And I've been using castor oil by itself for 25, 30 years, just for dry eye, for a whole host of eye conditions.
It was really, I remember years ago, someone recommended castor oil, and boy, was it panned. Don't ever put it in your eyes.
It's sticky. So what we do is we've created a blend because it's very sticky. So if you thin it out with, we use sesame oil and MCT coconut oil, organic, it thins it out so it's not so goopy. It's really sticky. So we thinned it out. We have a product called LipoVision that does that. But anyway, the DMSO castor oil, definitely something to think about. If any of you guys are interested in learning more about that, I do have a lot of videos on that on my YouTube page as well. So you guys are interested in learning more about that.
Nahum has a question.
Yes, thank you. I did see your videos on castor oil, and the question is, how do you sterilize it? Before this lady was doing it for you, how did you sterilize those mixes with castor oil?
My patients were making their own. Before I found Leslie, the
But you're saying you were doing it for many years, for 20 years or whatever.
No, we're using castor oil for many years.
Castor oil. And
so we had a
I'm
company.
saying,
yeah, we had a company that manufactured it for us.
But you never used it from ingredients, so you don't like sterilize it, or you don't know how to. Like if I have extra virgin castor oil, actually, I did order it, but I'm not sure whether or not how to sterilize it before I put it into my eye.
Yeah, right. If it's sitting around, I understand your question. Especially if it's been sitting around for a while, I would go with the medical grade stuff.
I was just wondering if you've heard of nitric oxide coming out in an eye drop.
I haven't. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, there is an eye drop.
Nitric oxide?
Nitric oxide?
Nitric oxide. I was on it. I'll have to look up what it was.
I'd be curious to know. Did it help at all?
No.
No.
So Deb's asked a question here, and that I would do the same thing. So we have a product called LipoVision. You could also use castor oil, MCT. Deb's talking about the like I guess from the eye drops, whatever, you got a lot of dryness and irritation. That's super helpful using.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, really, because it creates a barrier. Because what happens is the eye drops or whatever, it just irritates, and you don't have that protective layer anymore. So if you use fats, that improves the protective layer. So we have really good results with that, Deb.
Castor oil, you said. Okay, I'll go to your website to learn more.
Yeah. We have a product called LipoVision. They're little drops that's what we use. They're thinner than, it's a little tiny bottle drop. We had good results with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any last minute questions before we start wrapping up?
Do a lot of your drops, or not your drops specifically, but drops in general, I notice, have sulfites and sulfates, which are, allergic.
Some people allergic to, you got to be careful with that for sure, especially if you have allergies to that.
Do your products include those?
Only the MSM. So the MSM drops, MSM is sulfur, and DMSO is sulfur based as well. So anybody who has issues with sulfur probably should be careful with MSM drops or DMSO.
Right. Thank you.
Yep. All right.
Okay. Looks like we're finishing up now. Thank you, Andy.
You're welcome,
wonderful session. You're so
knowledgeable.
Thank you, guys.
So really much fun hanging with you guys on a Saturday afternoon, and you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And thank you so much. Thank you to all you group members who joined us today. And you guys enjoy this first weekend of spring. Enjoy it. It's beautiful out here. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
I like the hearts floating up. Thank you, Anne.
Love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. I'm stopping the recording.